T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Love.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
Yes, sir, fellas. Good to be back. We're back and better than ever. Joke to start the program. We can't do that without this. Why aren't trees good at taking tests? Why aren't trees good at taking tests?
No roots? I don't know.
Good guess. T-Dog, anything?
They don't have any loose leaf pencils.
Notebooks? No? Nope. They're always stumped. We'll just get that. They're always stumped. Okay, welcome to Sports and Other Stuff. By the way, this is our 222nd episode. We call it Room 222. Those of you old enough to remember, you can go look that up. Tonight, we break down the NFC South because we're just 16 days, the opening game of the 105th NFL season. We're ready. Are you? We can help. We're your one-stop shop. So, the NFC South for 2024, there's new faces in new places and lots to talk about. To recap, here's how they finished last year. Buccaneers 9-8, the Saints 9-8, the Falcons 7-10, and the lowly Panthers, yes, the worst team in football. But the Bears say thank you for that. We're 2-15. So, Lugs, T-Dog called this the worst division in football. Let's start with that. How are you? Who do you like in last place in the NFC South? Wow.
Well, no real surprise there. It's the Carolina Panthers. Head coach Dave Canales has the task of rebuilding the worst team in the league. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And getting some help for Bryce Young. I mean, yes, he's a smallish quarterback, and he had a horrendous season, but there's nobody around that kid. Offensively, right now, going into the season, they're ranked 32 of 32. Defensively, they're ranked in the bottom 5. They'll be playing first, like their early games will be the first 5 on the road will be New Orleans, Las Vegas, Raiders, and Chicago Bears. It's shaping up to be another horrendous season. Again, I have to say, get Bryce Young some help. I got him going 5-12.
Ooh, you gave him a couple of extra wins there, though. That's kind of nice. Thanks for the generosity, they say, Dave Canales says. And I want to thank you for using the word of the day, smallish. Smallish, used in a sentence, and he wins $5. T-Dog, NFC South for you.
I, kind of like last week, Lugs and I were lockstep. It's at least starting off that way. Carolina Panthers, and he hit a lot of the main things I was going to say too. I'll just say, they hired Dave Canales, who weirdly, it's one of those leaving the division rival to become a head coach, OC becoming a HC in the same division. Left the Bucks, and he did a good job last year. I want to give more credit to just Mike Evans is just an absolute phenomenon at wide receiver. And Baker, we've seen in other places, he's good. So, I mean, I'm not trying to completely be a wet blanket on Dave Canales, but it's weird he got so much credit when it's just like, yeah, Mike Evans is one of the best wide receivers of his generation. Anyway, he's tasked with making Bryce Young live up to the hype of why he was drafted number 1. And, look, they did some good things. They acquired Deontay Johnson from the Steelers, who I think is a professional route runner, and he consistently gets open. I know he had some drop issues, but, considering, Adam Thielen, who had a great career, was essentially on E last year, and that he was adequate. Deontay Johnson, I think, is going to be a big step up for that. They drafted wide receiver Xavier Legette. He gives them just that burst. Jonathan Mingo was supposed to provide to him last year. He did not. And they added guards in free agency, Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, to prevent the ungodly amount of sacks. I believe they allowed 65 sacks last year. And they also then drafted Jonathan Brooks from the Dallas Cowboys, who it seemed like Jerry Jones thought they drafted, but they were like, hey, the second round's tomorrow, Jerry. You let it out of the bag. That we wanted Jonathan Brooks. I think they're going to try to be more run tilted this year. And once he gets healthy, I think he'll be the background. And I do think Bryce Young will be better this year because I think Canales is a solid coach. Like I said, I still think there's a little too much hype there. Deontay Johnson is a huge step up at wide receiver, and when Jonathan Brooks does get healthy, will be a step up in the ranking. The problem is, Luggs kind of pointed, on defense they have Derek Brown, and that's pretty much it. You got to fill another 10 spots. Because of that, I have them going 4-13.
4-13 for Carolina. By the way, I think drop issues, that's what ended Lugg's career, too. Back in the day in those games against Forest View. Okay, yeah, let's move on. All right, my prediction for last place in NFC South. I have the Saints in last place, and here's why. Derek Carr. That's number one reason. But I have some questions, lots of questions. Can Spencer Rattler make a difference? Does he get a shot? I think, bold prediction, Dennis Allen may be the first head coach to get canned this year. Alvin Kamara, he's had less than 4 yards per carry his last 3 years. While starting his career, he had more than 5 yards per carry in his first 4 years. He's slowing down. He's their main cog. It's hard to be a running back in Mr. Goodell's NFL, as we know. But I have them only because I'm going to give Carolina a little bit of love, and I'm going to put them above the Saints. I let the cat out of the bag there. But I have the Saints going 5-12 because they're not a whole lot better for me than they were last year, and I think they're going to take a step back. So that's that. All right, third place. Lugs, who do you like in the South of the NFC?
Well, I'm going to go with the Saints. Derek Carr is a question. I mean, if he can get back to the form of his best seasons at the Raiders, then they'll be at least competitive. What lets me know that the NFL doesn't think they're very competitive is they only have 2 primetime games, Monday Night Football against the Chiefs, and then one late in the season against the Packers. They do have several rookies who have looked decent in preseason. I love this name, Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Yes.
I like Spencer Rattler, Charlie Smith, and defensively they performed at top 10 level in overall sort of ranking. They've kept teams from scoring like on third down or making third downs. So it's one of those teams that, it just depends on how they come out and decide they want to play. But I'm giving them a little benefit of the doubt, according to you. I'm going 8-9. I'm saying they're going to go 8-9.
Wow. All right. Saints 8-9 with Kool-Aid. All right, T-Dog, how about you, third place?
I'm splitting the difference between you all in that I have the New Orleans Saints in third place as well. I mean, this team has a great receiver in Chris Olave entering his third season, and a really intriguing one, Rashid Shaheed, who he feels like if he went to the right place, he could be possibly a Tyreek Hill. I think he's that explosive of a player. That's pretty much their main bright spot. I mean, after that, kind of like what Lug said, Derek Carr has had good points of his career, but I just feel his confidence is shot, and he's just real skittish to get hit, and physically he's starting to diminish a lot. So he's not, it's a name brand to some extent for some people, but he's not that guy anymore, whatever that was. It doesn't help that our offensive line is just a mess with Trevor Penning, a guy they drafted a few years ago to be a tackle. They moved him into guard, but they're probably going to have to move him back out to tackle. And they have a rookie in Tylese Fuaga who's going to be thrust into being on the blind side right away, where he played right tackle in college. So that's great. Their defense, like Lug says, is good, but here's the big problem. Their biggest components are all old. Cameron Jordan will be 35. Linebacker Demario Davis will be 35. And Tyrann Mathieu, safety, it will be 32. They're bringing in Clint Kubiak, Gary Kubiak's son, who will look to turn around that as offense. But I think J-Boy said it right. Dennis Allen, for his career, is 25-46 as a head coach. He is 16.
Wow.
He's 16-18 as a Saints coach. Wow. He will be a great DC next year for someone. 6-11.
6-11. Wait a minute. So it'll take him like 10 years to get like to 500, won't it?
Yeah.
Good gravy. All right, so third place for me in the NFC South. I have the Carolina Panthers. I like them. I like them a lot more than I did before. A better offensive line for Bryce Young. He has a year under his belt. He's been running for his life, as Lugs always used to like to say. And hopefully he won't be running for his life this year. While Frank Reich's coaching staff was not in sync at all with the general manager, and it was a big tumultuous mess. New head coach Dave Canales and GM Dan Morgan, that is, seem to be more simpatico. They do have a brutal schedule because the last placers from last year, if you remember, are the Bears, the Bengals, and the Cardinals. In preseason and by all indications are pretty well improved teams. So that could be tough for them. But I like them just because I want to throw them a bone because I knew you guys would not. I've got the Carolina Panthers going 6-11, one game more than the Saints, and 4 more than they won last year. We'll see what happens. All right, Lugs, who do you like in second place in the NFC South?
Well, in second place, I do have the Bucks. Although at the front end of the season, I'm thinking, they just need to keep their heads down and fight because they're going to probably have 3 divisional losses in a span of 4 weeks. They're going to play their division, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and 49ers. The big question for me is Baker Mayfield. Can he continue to perform at a high level? At least he has Mike Evans back to throw to. Defensively, oh man, they're dead last against the pass. It's just sad. They did intercept 13 passes in 2023, but opposing quarterbacks completed 66% of their throws against the Bucks. That's nasty. That's nasty in anybody's book.
Light them up.
Still, I have them going 10-7. 10-7.
10-7 for the Buccaneers, throwing out some generous $1 bills out there.
Wait a minute, are they making the playoffs? Lugs 10-7.
It's gonna be iffy. I think the wild card in other divisions will ace them out. Well, maybe.
Well, I also have the Bucks in second place, but it's not iffy for me. They are not making the playoffs, in my opinion. Mike Evans. Like Luke said, Mike Evans, I mean, again, not trying to disrespect Canales and Mayfield. And I guess I'll be just biased because I've always been a big fan of him. Mike Evans kept this team afloat last year by just being one of the biggest mismatches in NFL history and giving Mayfield a guiding light. Chris Godwin, he's another year removed from a devastating knee injury. And I think in the new offense under Liam Cohen, I think he'll be used better than he was last year. And I think, I know a lot of people say up and down Mayfield every other year, but I think he's regained some of his confidence. And he was always a talented quarterback. He just had some bad luck with injuries in Cleveland. And then he kind of got bounced around a little bit. Tristan Wirfs, their left tackle, is an absolute stud. And the Lugs was talking about rookies earlier. Their rookie from Duke, Graham Barton, who was a tackle who's playing center, he looks like he's going to be an absolute snowplow, just like opening up lanes left and right. So that's a huge upgrade for them. Their defense is strong up the middle with Vita Vea, Levante David. Again, to be fair, if I'm going to knock the Saints on it, Vita Vea is kind of probably coming up to the end of his prime, and Levante David is in the twilight, like the Demario Davis. but they do have a stud-in rookie or young safety, Antonio Winfield, who got paid. And also, they have Kalijah Cansey, who they drafted in the first round last year, who I think is going to develop. And, local guy, Yaya Diaby, he had 7.5 sacks as a rookie last year. So, I mean, that's giving some edge off the juice off the edge. But like Lugg said, you look at their cornerback room, it was bad last year. It got worse, I think. So that's why I have them going 7-10 and missing the playoffs.
7-10. All right. Lugs had 10-7. T-Dog 7-10. By the way, Lugs, I checked. There's the division winners, the wild card winners, and then there's the iffy card winners. If they're iffy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Iffy, spiffy.
It's a triple play. I have the Bucks in second place. I think we've said the name Dave Canales more times than any coach on the history of this program, but they lost their OC Dave to the head coach of the Panthers, so that's a big change for them. We all like Baker, at least I think we do. We want him to succeed, so I'm going to throw that out. Todd Bowles, I think, does seem to do a good job getting the most out of some people. But it's tough sledding with their schedule, though. I think Lugs mentioned it. They've got Lions, Ravens, 49ers, plus, they have Atlanta, Kansas City, and the Niners in a 4-week stretch with Baltimore. So, I mean, it's a lot, and I don't know if they can overcome that. But I like them only because I like Baker. I like Mike Evans. I think they've got a chance to renew that chemistry. I would like to see Baker. Everybody says he's an every other year winner. Well, I'd like to see him break that curse and have another decent year. So I've got him going 9-8 in second place. So I guess we all agree on the Falcons. Lugs, take it away.
Yep. I do have the Falcons, of course, the top spot. I mean, the real question is Kirk Cousins, how he's going to perform after having major Achilles tendon surgery. He will have help on the offensive side of the ball with Bijan Robinson at running back. He'll have Drake London, wide receiver, and tight end Kyle Pitts. So he's got some weapons. He does have some weapons, and that offensive line, they've tried to improve it, so we'll see. Defensively, they signed Matthew Judon and Justin Simmons. That should give them power up front. So even though I'm not particularly a Cousins fan, I'm predicting the Falcons will pop it 12-5. 12-5 is what I'm giving them.
Dang, he's ramping those boys up. Yeah, T-Dog, what do you say about the Falcones? How about that 12-5?
I have them winning the division, like obviously you two, but I'm not as bullish as Lugs a little bit. I will say this: I don't think any team in the NFL this year tried to buy the division or put all their chips in to just win a division. I don't think they're going to do much more than that. I'll say that, even though I haven't won the division, I don't think they will. But no team put more chips in. I mean, they paid Kirk Cousins a massive deal, and then literally like a month and a half later, they draft Michael Penix 8th overall, who plays the same spot. And then after playing in one preseason where he looked good, they're like, we're gonna sit him. We don't need to see him anymore. It's like, what? He's the backup. I understand maybe if he was
in street clothes.
But it's like we can't even play the backup. I guess they think Taylor Heineke, he'll play well enough in these games, and they'll be able to trade him to try to get back some draft assets. I don't know, but anyway, then they, like Lug said, they tried it for Matthew Judon to get some pass rush, which they needed, and then they signed Justin Simmons, who isn't the guy of old, but he's still got something left, and Raheem Morris, I think we all like him, and he gets another shot at head coach. In the NFC South, again, all these guys can't leave the NFC South. He was a Bucs head coach, and now he comes back to the South. I guess the South just always makes them. The one thing I do worry about is both the coordinators are first-time coordinators. So that is kind of a red flag for me, where I'm a little kind of skittish. But they have so much talent in comparison to the other three teams. That's why I have them winning the division. Their offensive line with Chris Lindstrom and Jake Matthews, they'll protect whoever is the quarterback, and Bijan out of the backfield, who has potential, I think, to be the second coming of LDT, LaDainian Tomlinson, in this offense. And, Kyle Pitts will be finally utilized correctly, as will Drake London, who were all both drafted in the top 10. And, then our buddy Arthur Smith was drawing up plays for Cordell Patterson like 7 times a game. It's just like, what is going on here? And again, I like Cordell Patterson, but it's like you paid this massive draft capital, and you're like, we're only going to give Drake London 4 targets a game. Anyway, the defense is iffy, but Moore's worked magic with LA last year, where it was essentially Aaron Donald and a bunch of guys. So I'm giving him a pass. And Jesse Bates and A.J. Terrell should be able to put the clamps on the pass. So there are maybe not like a lot of big names on the – it's mostly secondary, Judon, and to a lesser extent, Grady Jarrett if he has anything left in the tank. But I have him going 10-7. Like I said, not as bullish, but I have him winning the division.
Excellent. Okay, Lugs, quick question. Did your dad drive a Ford LDT?
My dad drove about every vehicle you could mention. The man loved trading cars.
With a Landau top with the opera windows, I think, back then, about a 78 maybe. All right, enough of that.
I think he even had a Broham. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't expecting that. All right, I've got the Falcons taking the cake in the South there, and it's for one reason. Come on, Kirk Cousins. All he does is win, guys. Come on, we know this. Got a lot of money. Anyway, they had an aggressive offseason with Darnell Mooney, Rondale Moore, and Bijan Robinson's going to be great. And here's the thing, Michael Penix Jr., we all have to like this because Don Fisher, the voice of IU Sports, remember, he would always say, Michael Penix Jr. back to pass. And we got to love Don, friend of the show. So Don Fisher, I give my vote to the Falcons because of Michael Penix Jr. But they have a tough draw with the AFC West and NFC East opponents. But again, all Kirk Cousins does is win, and I think he'll only win 10 games. But I've got him going 10-7. And taking the cake. So is that about it on that division? Have we done that to death?
I just want to reiterate, it's worst division. I can see the Bucs maybe winning because, like I said, I'm kind of worried about the first-time coordinators in both the spots for Atlanta. But I feel confident in saying, even though my one friend saw it at Polyfreeze and said the Saints are one of the sneaky teams, I'm sorry, Tim. The Saints are not one of the sneaky teams. They are a mess in a multitude of factors. I don't see it happening.
Tim, a friend of the show. Sorry, Tim. Try another podcast.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's I agree. It's a bad division. No way around it.
Okay, we've got some other stuff, but before we do that, Lugs, do you have some sports of yesteryear? Can you hit us with that?
Yes, sir. All right. Sports of yesteryear. Here we go. 1912, Washington Senators. Future baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Walter Johnson wins the American League 15th straight game, beating the Cleveland Naps. Never heard of that before. Naps, 4-2. 1964. New York Yankees player Phil Linz plays the harmonica on the bus despite manager Yogi Berra's orders not to. Yogi apparently thought it was an accordion. 1985, Dwight Gooden became the first National League pitcher to strike out 200-plus in the first 2 seasons of his career. Then he discovered, hallucinogenics, and it all went downhill from there. 1990, George Steinbrenner steps down as the New York Yankee owner. Finally, in 2008, Usain Bolt of Jamaica wraps up a 200-meter double with a new 200-meter world record, 19.30 seconds at the Beijing Olympics. That's it for this edition of Sports of Yesteryear.
Thank you, Lux. Okay, wait. Do you remember there was the Atlanta Braves mascot, Chief Nakahoma? Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so do you think the Cleveland Naps mascot was Take-a Naps? Take-a? Naka, take a nap?
Okay.
All right. It took T-Dog a minute to get there. All right, some other stuff department. I want to throw this at you. Maybe you read this, maybe you didn't. Tyreek Hill is trash-talking Noah Lyles, the Olympic champion. Tyreek said he was faking illness, Lyles that is, in the 200-yard dash at the Paris Olympics. And Tyreek says, hey, man, let's go. Let's race. What do you guys think? Who would win that, Noah Lyles or Tyreek Hill?
My money's on Tyreek. I have to say, the man, he has a great head of hair, first of all. So that gives him an up in my book. But I do think he could do it.
T-Dog, who do you think could take that?
I just love that. It feels like this season's I hear he's a lovely dancer. It's now going to be. He has a nice head of hair.
He's got a beautiful head of hair.
I like that it looks has a new one
everybody.
for there. Loved Daniel Jones, who was always he must be a lovely dancer from looks. Anyway,
he did.
I think I'm going to go with Noah Lyles. I want to go with Tyreek, but I mean, this Noah Lyles, like, he specializes in running the 100 and 200 and other things, where Tyreek also just build-wise is built for football.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there you go again. I think on turf, though, if it was on a football field, I don't know. On artificial
talking
turf.
100 meters or 100 yards.
Well, I guess I'd go meters. Well, let's go. I don't know. What would you guys say?
Well, 100 yards, I'd maybe go Tyreek. But
100 meters is the old 40-yard dash, roughly, right?
What 40? I mean, no. It's
100 meters is more than 100 yards.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What? Oh, sorry.
Oh, you need to, go back to that.
Sorry. Math was, I never went to math class. I gave up on that earlier. That trig, I never got that.
But
that was some of that Tony Wyletta math.
But hey, yes, let's go back. Well, thank you.
Sorry, T-Dog, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say, to be fair to Lux's point, though, on Tyreek, the one thing I will give is Noah Lyles is notorious for being a slow starter. So Tyreek is not. So I don't know if Noah Lyles has one of his notorious slow starts, Tyreek can beat him. So
all right, that's good. I'm a slow starter apparently in math too, so let's go with that. Other stuff department. You may or may not have heard of this. Denny Crum's statue was lost at sea. Yeah, we've predicted many teams were lost at sea in some of our predictions, but that's not what we're talking about. This is a true story. If you go to Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, you'll see nothing extraordinary marking Denny's grave. The red granite life-size figure was crafted in India, but its cargo ship was the target of pirates, and the statue now sits at the bottom of the Red Sea. T-Dog, what can you say about that?
Wow. I didn't hear about that story. It's
a granite statue, and it's gone. Splash.
Did they? I mean, I guess they probably didn't want to say. Did they give like an estimate on how much that thing cost?
Lots of money.
Okay. Well, that narrows it down for me. No, that's true. I mean, I don't need to know. So yeah, like it's not going to be so easy to be like, oh, well, we'll just get him another one.
Yeah. Amazon might carry such a thing.
Another one is being delivered, isn't it? I think.
Is that the update? You may have a breaking news update there from your crack team. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was the last I heard, which was last week. It was in process of being created, and they were going to try to get it on to whatever vessel that they could get through the strait there and not get blown up.
Pirates.
I just like when there's disparities in like the best. What's it made out of, J-Boy?
Indian red granite from India.
Like Indian red granite sculptures. The best place to get sculptures are from India, and then they're like, well, we can't get it from India. All right, well, Toledo, Ohio is the second best.
They've got an opening.
Red Indian granite. They're the second best place in the world at doing red Indian Grandin. It's like, what? It's like, hey, we don't make this up. This is how business is done. So,
yeah. It's just...
I just wanted to mention
Yes,
my man
please.
Mike Tyson at 59 years old is going to step back in the ring with some guy off the internet. If Mike Tyson gets a lick on this guy early on, that guy is going to have to be taken for psychiatric treatment after this lick. But if the guy can just run from Tyson for a couple of rounds, at 59, Tyson's going to have to slow up some. But I guess maybe Tyson needs the cash. Who knows?
It's Jake Paul, Logan Paul's brother. Weird thing to be. You might get some clout, but it's a lose-lose for Jake Paul, right? You beat up Tyson. It's like, hey, he's 57 years old. You get beat up by Tyson. It's just people be like, oh man, Tyson's still the baddest dude. It's like, you don't get any clout if you win. It's like who made this idea? This was a bad idea for him. I mean, maybe it's a decent idea for Tyson. I don't know.
Well, I think Jake Paul got the funding for this thing. I think he was able to get cash money for it. Like I say, get on that bicycle and ride hard, young man. Because if Tyson, even at 59, Tyson, I'll guarantee he throws a hard right punch.
You think just a little bit? Wow.
Yeah. So.
All right, anything else on the broadcast this week, fellas?
That's it for me.
That's it.
All right, thank you for listening to Sports and Other Stuff. Radio home of millions across Mid-America, brought to you in part by Rose Auto Sales on Highway 51 North. If that sticker's down in the back of your car, you probably paid too much. Stop in and ask for Norm to get this week's tire special. But better yet, stop in and ask for
Fish. And our man is getting in the NFL spirit with a tribute to the formation of the American Professional Football Association in 1920. It would go on to become the National Football League. Jim Thorpe was the first president of the APFA. This Saturday, Fish will host a flag football tournament featuring local high school cheerleaders. The fun kicks off at 1 p.m. at the Roger Taylor Memorial Stadium. It could be Tater. Admission is $20 with all proceeds going to the athletic programs of the schools participating. Food and drinks will be available. Come on down.
Come on down to Tater Stadium where the taters are free. You've wasted a good 40 minutes listening to us. We are the Sport Weasels. First in sound, first in service, and first in other stuff. So long till next week. Bye-bye.